the more photorealistic I am, like the more of a digital twin, spatial in this example, and there's others, the more that it's represented and more visually looks like me and it's recognizable, the more that I need to be in my best behavior. And I need to make sure I'm representing myself the same way that I do in person, which is, we care about what people think.
Okay, so today we are looking at Sandbox Avatar. We just got access to the Alpha Season 2 of the Sandbox, so we both decided to jump on. I am Elisha from Fresh Consulting. I am the Technical Innovation Director. And we have Johnny here, who is a Strategic Innovation Director at Fresh Labs / Fresh Consulting. So Johnny, I'm looking at this screen the first time on the Sandbox. You said you already created your avatar, right?
I did create my avatar, and I think I had it created for a long time because I've been waiting to get access. I don't have a powerful PC to run this, and it looks like the Sandbox just recently, I think it was last Thursday, launched Alpha Season 2 for the Mac. And so now I can actually use my avatar, but I did create mine. Mine's not, I would say it's not as representative, but I'm excited to see how it works for you as you go through the process. I think it'd be cool to capture that.
Yeah, so I have this purple hair. I don't know what happened to his eyes, but I have this person here, and looks like they provide like 39 pre-designed avatars. So like Acid, Shirley, Andrea, those are interesting names. I wonder if these are like their employee names or maybe randomly picked names.
It would be interesting to see if like these are the most representative of their users, or like it represents such a variety that then you can customize from there. It's like, hey, this one looks most like me. Let me then customize from there.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find like someone that may look like me. Maybe not quite these. I'm looking for like maybe more Asian archetype, or I could be someone else on this game itself, and maybe not have to look like me. But let's see. I guess they have like a different head shape or hair shapes, and then interesting. Yeah, they have. I think what's interesting is like I think they might have more drastically different avatar compared to what I've seen in the past, possibly. Yeah, some may look a little bit older, some look a little bit younger. Looks like even maybe the heights are a little different, or they're maybe same. It's just optical illusion. So yeah,
I think what's kind of confusing about it is that it's like I think when I did mine, I think I just picked a predetermined one and then I customized. But I think theoretically you could just start with the head.
Yeah, and even in the head, there's like a 70 head choices, which is very interesting. So yeah, if I go to
you have no idea how to filter, right? Like usually in some of the other avatar creation platforms, you're asked, okay, let's start with your skin color. Okay, now let's go to your eyes. These actually don't do any of that. If you notice, you're just gonna pick a head.
Yeah, and the heads are very characteristic. Like each one is very like unique, and it's not like a generic like list of heads with different like a typical hairs. I think they probably took more creative like freedom in like, I'm just gonna create like a character, like maybe NPC might look like this in like actual game, where they have some specific features. And looks like I can change the hair color, skin tone, but the face features are like probably kind of stuck.
Yeah,
it's very interesting. So
see if
maybe
we can find somebody like you.
yeah, custom color. Sorry, the selected item does not support custom color changes. Okay, so
that particular one can't do it.
Yeah, so I can't change the hair color. I can only change the skin color, it looks like. It's very, very interesting choice of picking the avatar, but I'm just gonna, I don't know, maybe I'll just go with this guy. What I like is like, this is like the MMO character creation in a sense where like I can look at the character from different angles. And I think I've also seen them move around a little bit in the past. I wonder if that was in a pre-designed stage, but like they were doing some motions to kind of show how the character kind of rigs.
Yeah.
And okay, so I just picked the head. I'm just gonna pick some kind of shirt. Oh yeah. Now the character is like rigging.
And just to remind everyone, what's really cool about the sandbox is that it actually is on the blockchain. And so the avatar that Elisha picked here, he's picking from 43 different shirts, but we theoretically could just go buy a wearable on their marketplace. So like on the left hand side where it says market, Elisha, you could go buy an NFT and make it like a cool looking jacket or wear a certain head of a wizard. You probably want to save it just so you can take a look at this. So I like to go over to the market.
Yeah, that's interesting idea.
And then close the collections on the left hand side. I close that section.
Okay.
And then go to wearables. So those are some wearable like do you want the cyber duck head?
Oh, I like that. Like if I'm gonna go a little crazy with Avatar, I might as well go all the way crazy with Avatar.
Yeah. And you can see the thing, you can see how rare it is. So the problem is that there's only one of this particular one. No copies available for sale.
Oh.
So you probably want to go maybe for sale if you toggle that on at the top and then go to wearable. Let's see what's available. Nothing.
Results. Wow.
So there's an opportunity there for people to create some stuff.
Yeah, because if there is one, it's all one unique. Interesting.
I do see other things. Like if I go to all NFT types and then I click on for sale, you could see, it'll filter out a bunch of them. It goes from, it's 962. I see the same. And then I go to, let's go to like, if you filter by maybe newest instead of ABC. Yeah, there we go. You can see there's some pants. There's some steampunk legs, Christmas legs.
Yeah, and it looks like you can buy like a building as well in this game.
Yep. You can buy some things there. So anyway, just something to keep in mind.
And they're using their own sandbox.
It's called Sand. Sand is their currency, and they're it's a currency that you can go from. It's Ethereum. Like you can change Ethereum into Sand.
Okay, now I'm back here. Yeah, I think it's probably gonna be hard to find maybe my own, like I guess you could call it digital twin, like copy of my visual in this game. But I think in this game I might be more drawn to more like unique style, like even become a robot or something like that, because it creates or gives me more, I think, creative inspiration to be like something a little bit different and wacky, and it feels more fit to the game, as opposed to in other world maybe being myself feels more like, oh yeah, it's my self in the game, whereas in like a more pixelated like art style, I feel like, oh, maybe I could be a little bit different and wacky in this game, and that might interest me more so than like trying to match who I am, especially given that they're not really giving you the choice of making it look more like you. It's more like it's like you pick the archetype of like, I'm the Antonio type or something. Cool. So I'll just go with this. I think it's a little bit difficult to find.
We actually have the same avatar. Look at this. Ready? I'm gonna turn mine on.
Oh yeah.
This is the problem. We picked the same thing. Kind of. I just have a green sweater on.
Yeah, and I have a little bit of a tan skin.
Yeah. Yep. So.
Yeah, I think in this game, I'll probably end up just picking something interesting, different. That's how like my heart kind of leads to. And in other games or other virtual worlds, it feels more like oh, maybe I could be more of myself. So I think that's
Yeah.
the interesting difference that I felt personally.
Okay. Well, why don't we look at? Do you think it's maybe good to look at this compared to some of the other avatar platforms
Oh
as in
yeah,
how
yeah,
it's represented?
yeah. Let's do that.
So really quick, I think it's good to see. So yeah, this is the one that I chose for me, and I was going through the process of trying to say like, what is my digital twin? I do lean towards more of that side of how I represent myself. Um, and so if we look at that against some of the other mainstream kind of players, right? You have there we go. You have Avatar SDK on the top left, right? Where we're talking about like photorealism. Avatar SDK is the one that powers some of like the more business kind of gallery and event focused metaverses like spatial. So that's why it looks like that. And then you have Decentraland, which is like I would say like a lower resolution stylized. And then you have Ready Player Me, which is a kind of higher resolution stylized. And then we have Sandbox on the bottom left, which is just the only one of the metaverses that I see where it's kind of that box, kind of the voxel, kind of blocky kind of avatar. But you
Yeah,
could say that, and yeah, go ahead.
yeah, even more so than Decentraland. I thought Decentraland was pretty blocky already, but Sandbox is like it's like a pixel art 3D, like Minecraft almost.
Yeah, it's very much like Minecraft in that sense. And then yeah, the middle bottom is actually what Microsoft acquired AltSpace VR, and they're doing a lot of interactions and stuff there. And that's what there's pretty limited avatar there, but that's where I'm at. And we have metas where I'm how I represent myself in Horizon Worlds, and eventually home, and how I represent myself in Workroom. So yeah, that's kind of like the breakout between all of those. As you can tell, Elisha, all of them have some similarities, right? They all have kind of the darker brown hair. I try to get my eyes to be kind of this greenish blue. And then I have a beard in all of them. And so even in the Sandbox, I kind of have that same look, but I don't have the fine control of like the eyebrows and the face shape and my body type, or things like that on all of these kind of different environments. I can't really control some of those elements, but it's good to kind of see how we could represent ourselves across the different kind of metaverse environments that exist out there. So yeah, I think that's the quick look at the avatars.
Yeah, is there any particular feeling you get when you use different like type of avatar, like when you use the photorealistic avatar in a virtual environment versus like something like Sandbox, which is probably the least similar to like yourself, and AvatarSDK is probably the most photorealistic to yourself. Do you feel any different, like seeing more of yourself like more realistically representing in a space, and you feel like oh, I should behave more like myself in reality, or do you don't feel any of that?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to think about not just like the avatar, but yeah, how do you represent yourself online, right? So if you think about like, I don't know, we're growing up in a world, right? If you're a millennial or if you're Gen Z, you're growing up in a world where you're like, I grew up in MySpace world, right? That's kind of where I first learned to code, CSS, all that stuff in MySpace, and we started like representing the things that we like and the movies we like and the music we like, and so we had it. The way we represented ourselves was more of like the things we like, and then it was like the things we post, right? That was where we started getting into like the Facebook, and then Instagram is like, this is my world, right? And we know that like the reality is that there's I want to find this photo.
What's actually happening behind?
Yeah, there's a photo that I saw that like showed, it was like Oh, I wish I would have had this one ready. It's
Well,
essentially a photo. Oh, go ahead.
no, while you're looking for the photo, I can share our Instagram story where,
Yeah.
my wife and I go out and eat, right? And then we'll have the food ready, and then we probably spend like 5 minutes from there on to taking the photo of the food, and also like we'll try to take photo of ourselves, and it's like the first 5 minute ritual of eating out, and then like we actually start to eat. It's probably
Yeah.
common for like many other family
Yeah.
members. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. It's basically the main takeaway is that like, yeah, like what we post on our social media, here it is not representative of what's happening. We might take a photo of these cool muffins, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, here's Instagram, like, oh, that's awesome. Love my muffins. And we have it all stylized. But then this is actually what's happening is yelling
Yeah.
and screaming and everything's on the table.
Yeah.
And it doesn't tell the full picture, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I think where I'm leading with this is that there are like we're used to representing ourselves digitally in different ways. But now we're getting into this avatar creation where it's like it's not just like how you represent yourself like with pictures and your likes and what your posts are. It's now like this is how I interact with people. This is how I actually interact with people, with other people around the world. And we're going to start getting to things. If you think about Somnium Space, right, where you're in VR, and if I move my hands are moving in VR. If I'm in spatial in their VR app for, the Quest 2, I'm moving my hands and I'm moving my head. You can see me like actually react. I could dance, right? That's always like, that's something that you and I did in Meta Horizon Worlds. We started kind of like doing a little dance, And so it's starting to be like a 1-for-1 representation in that sense. So that was my long way, like lead up to tell you that I think the more photorealistic I am, like the more of a digital twin, spatial in this example, and there's others, the more that it's represented and more visually looks like me and it's recognizable, the more that I need to be in my best behavior. And I need to make sure I'm representing myself the same way that I do in person, which is, we care about what people think, and we want to make sure that, or, I'd say I care about what people think, and I want to make sure that like, I'm the same person. It's an exact representation. I'm being polite, all of that. Whereas if I represent myself as a different character that doesn't look like me, even if I'm in something like the Sandbox, I think I'd be more free to do other stuff, right?
Yeah.
People don't know who I am. They won't see me. They can't see that avatar and say, I'm going to track this person down on social media or something, right? It's like, it's a generic kind of avatar.
Yeah.
Even if it's kind of representative of me, it's still not me. They can't find me. And so then you have a sense, like you have this way of like hiding behind the shield of your avatar,
right,
to be a little bit more open and to speak more freely. And so that might turn into more freedom in a positive way. I think it could also turn into more freedom in a negative way where you might be more critical, and things like that. And then if I were to represent, for me personally, if I felt like if I needed to represent myself into something like an animal or something that doesn't even have anything to do with me, then I think it's even easier to hide behind that and to do ridiculous things. And it actually might feel very freeing to say like, I want to fly around like a dragon, right?
that'll be cool.
Or I want to have this. Yeah, exactly. It's like,
yeah.
I want to be the dragon, right? And it's like, oh, I want to do that. And so it kind of depends on the context. So it's interesting because we talk about this avatar interoperability of like, I want to take my spatial one and I want to bring that into the Sandbox. But maybe that's actually not the best thing. It's like, I want to represent myself in spatial in a professional sense. But in the Sandbox, I might want to be more of that free, kind of open. I want to be a robot, and I want to see how that feels to be a robot,
Yeah. Especially, I bet if you ask like your kids, like, what do you want to be? They might say like, yeah, like a dragon or some animal. They may not care as much about like, oh, I want to be the kid in the game. Like they might want to be more of something different, more creative. And I think we adults think about like, how do we utilize this in the meeting and look like us? Like we care maybe more about that direction, like in like, how do we turn this into business opportunities? But I think having two worlds of like just being somebody completely different as well as like maybe we need to be on our best behavior because we're representing ourselves, and it's like showing our camera on the meeting, right? Like I'm showing my camera, I need to look like I'm professionally representing myself. So yeah, I think I pretty much agree with how you feel about like the avatar kind of integrated to how you're presenting yourself. I think I'll be on my watch if I had my photorealistic representation of myself as well. Compared to with the Sandbox, I think I might want to be a robot engine, just like do something interesting in the game, like be the different self.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting, and I think there's also kind of like this in between place, because you talked about, hey, we're on video right now, we're interacting, this is who we are. I'm not in the person with you, but I'm me, right? Like this is, you can see me through this camera and all of that. There's kind of this in between state that's very interesting, and it came out of a recent conversation that I had with the CEO of AvatarSDK, and I think we're gonna actually have him join us at some point to kind of walk us through some of this, because I think there's a lot of interesting things that they're working on. But I really like talking to Victor, who is the CEO of AvatarSDK. So he showed me this, right? So if you go to AvatarSDK, they basically took that and put that into a product that's free, so anybody can download this. Avatar for your video conferencing. So you can see in this particular video, this is what he's looking like on the top left, and then here's him on a video call. So it's kind of this in between, right? This is the same one that powers spatial, so you can maintain eye contact, you can always look good, so like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, I'm not ready, my hair doesn't look nice, my face might have blemishes, but I want to represent myself, right? So you'll always look good, you don't have to worry about the background, you can put in your own background, but people still recognize you, right? So this kind of, again, an in-between state of, it's recognizable, I know that's Johnny, but it's not actually him, but I'm still able to do the conferencing call, and I can see the emotions. And so yeah, I'd love to have him kind of talk about what's coming with this. Right now, this is compatible with like Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, not quite yet for Skype on Mac. There's some certain requirements. So like if my particular computer, the M1 Max, does not have AVX support.
Oh, got it.
So I can't actually run this right now, but some people can run it, and we're in no way affiliated or connected to them. I just think it's an interesting concept of essentially like this in-between state of like, it's you, you're not a dragon, but you're also not yourself, but you're needing to be in a situation, maybe it's a business environment where you need to represent yourself, and it's kind of like an in-between state. So kind of another interesting thing.
Yeah, I really like that. Sometimes I'm so busy in between meetings, and like, at some point I need to start driving to the office, and I might be joining the call from my car and not from the desktop, especially for calls where like we don't need to look at the screen, we just need to sync over the voice most of the time, right? But if everyone else is on the like a video, and if I have myself turned off on the video, sometimes it feels weird, and maybe I just want to turn it on and let my iPhone look at my facial expression, because they're totally capable of doing that.
Exactly. And so I think I hope we see more and more products like this. I know that we saw Google, I think it might have been Microsoft, sorry, that when they were talking about their particular kind of platform that's coming for their metaverse and the work and all of that, they show conferencing. Yeah, it was Microsoft. They show the conferencing. I think it's called Mesh for Teams. They show that you can have some avatars and you can have some people, and it was more stylized, kind of more of that meta kind of avatar. So not quite photorealistic like you would see with AvatarSDK, but kind of this concept of, I do imagine a future, I think we're maybe a year away or less, where we're gonna have some people joining these conference calls as their virtual self, right? And it'll be like, instead of like, hey, turn on your camera, it'll just be like, everyone needs to be represented. Either you're doing it virtually, like as a virtual character, your virtual digital self, representation or as your physical self. And that'll become more and more of a best practice. And then eventually it'll be like, let's not go 2D, let's go. Some people are now joining in a VR environment, and some are joining in the browser, some are joining in the phone, some are joining through the app, right? Like it'll be so many different ways that people are plugging in that's most convenient for them, but represented visually in a lot of different ways.
Cool. I think I should probably download the plugin and for that Zoom. And next project meeting we have, we just won't tell the people, but I will join
Yeah.
with the 3D avatar and see how people react. And we can record it and maybe upload it as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think when we meet with Victor from AvatarSDK, we might actually want to do all of us doing the interview in that style, or we might want to meet in spatial or an environment that leverages their thing, where we can actually interview him as our avatars, since that'll be more and more commonplace as we kind of go into the future.
Yeah. And in the next video, we are also going to actually play the sandbox now that we have avatars ready. So yeah, make sure to subscribe, and next video you should see the sandbox. And I think maybe hopefully in the few weeks we'll have Victor from AvatarSDK join, and we can take a look at how it works and how I can see myself in the Zoom meetings without showing my actual webcam. So yeah, stay tuned, subscribe, and we'll see you guys again.